I'm just going to have an overview of Leica's MC1 machine control panel system. When you turn it on, you're faced with this main menu. It's very simple to operate. If we start from right to left, the settings option here takes you into some sort of hard settings of how you want the panel to be configured. A lot of the work I do is foundation work and simple regrade. I generally have it set on icon theme. Height indicators is asking where you want your height reference to come from on your tool. Here I have it selected as bucket left and bucket right height. I'll show you what that means just in a second. Machine image on, I'll leave that on just now so you can see the difference, and click clipping of model. You can we can play about with the settings and you'll see the difference when we turn some of these options on and off. Brightness of the screen hidden well in here. Page 2 is quite an important one. You want whatever linear unit you desire. I'm working in meters. I also have it set to 2 decimal places. I'll show you why I enjoy that. And language, date, time, all these good things are hidden in here. And then page 3 is important if you want to be using Connex, which is the office software where we can send information to and from the panel without using USBs. Setting up the SIM card for that purpose, or connecting to Wi-Fi if that's what you decide to do. The second option you see here, machines. This panel, you can, if you have, let's say, a dozer and an excavator that both have wiring kits ready to plug and play the software, you can take this panel and a couple of its components and put it into another machine that already has a wiring kit. So effectively you could have one MC1 panel and share it amongst 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different machines. The tool option is where you add buckets, and it's very easy for an operator to calibrate their own buckets on this system. It's vital when we're using it that we always have the correct bucket selected, which is really easy to do from the menu screen. The create model is a really nice function. Even if you don't have a complex 3D design given to you by an office or by whoever, you can go in here and very easily create your own models. You can create a flat model just by placing your bucket on a benchmark and create an infinity plane of that level, or you can do slopes with grades, lots of nice things. It's quite easy to learn and play with on the job. Model options, there's quite a lot in here that I'll go through from the actual working screen. Same with as-built. So in here, select models. This is where all your projects are kept. If you want to create a new job, a new project, you would click into here. These are all the existing jobs that I have on the go. If I wanted to create a new one, I will press this plus button down the bottom, click into the text box, and then give my project a name. Press the tick button, bottom right, and then continue. The model selection, you can bring in models from a previous job that you have, or you can select a USB, which you're most likely going to be doing if you're creating a new job like this. And when you do that, any files, DXF, XML, DWGs that you have on your USB, you can import via here. You can select multiple files and then press the continue button. And then the last option is what coordinate system do you want to use. This is automatically selecting a local coordinate system that I have. That lock file is a coordinate system extension of Leica that I created in Infinity. However, if you had another coordinate system you wanted to use, you can drop it on a USB, bring it in there. Alternatively, if you scroll down this page, you have a predefined option and you should be able to select whatever coordinate system you want. Leica are quite good for predefining any coordinate set, all their coordinate systems. Once you're happy with that, you hit the continue button. It will give you a summary, what your models are, what your coordinate system is, and you simply hit the flag. When you hit the flag, it will bring you back to the select models page, and you need to go in and then select what model you want to reference your heights. So you would click onto here, go to active model, click into there, and choose what model to use for your heights. So once you're happy with that, you would just hit the tick button, and then it's going to bring you to your working screen. This particular model that I selected there, it's already sort of ready to work. If I show you some settings, this is your offset button. If you click into there and then expand it, top right, it automatically takes me into page 2. I'm just going to change it to page 1. My simulator has a mind of its own. But the tool points here is quite important. Is in what point of your bucket or blade do you want the height reference to come from? So I'm going to use the center of my bucket. Then hit continue. A lot of the time, surfaces and triangles are turned on as well. So when you first upload a model to a machine, the operator's faced with something like this, all the triangles, excess line work, and personally I find this a bit noisy when I'm speaking with operators. They prefer things much cleaner, much simpler. So if you are faced with this, it's just remembering where that setting is. You go into your offsets, expand the settings, and on page 1, just turn your triangles off. You could turn the surfaces off as well if you wanted. You can even turn your text off. It really depends on what you think is a nice screen to look at. But certainly like that, it's much cleaner for myself. Another popular setting that some people like to turn off, if you go back to your main menu and go into settings, on this first page, you'll have machine image. If I turn that off, you'll see now that I just have the bucket. It's quite a preferable way to work with most, a lot of operators that I speak to on a weekly basis. Now basically we can get ready to work. On this working screen, when you tap on the screen, you get all these icons appearing. The ones in the bottom right, bottom left, just jump between different views that you can use while you're working. This here basically means 2D view, and this option here will put you into 3D. So I can flip my drawing. I can start looking about the site levels. MC1 you can touch it. It's all touch screen, so you can pinch and scroll the screen in a very similar way to your mobile phone for zooming in, zooming out. This last icon just sort of gives you an overview of the data that you have, the full site plan that you've imported, and then obviously the green cross is identifying where you are and what direction you're facing. So if I just go back to 2D, the point of this drawing is I have foundations to excavate. So if I select a line to work, I'll take this internal wall. All I need to do is hold my finger down on the line that I want to work with. The line closest to the middle of the circle will always be my top line. So if I click on that, it will highlight green. And then instantly I get this green cross here, so I'm going to have to turn this machine around, and I basically line this cross here up with this line here, and I'm ready to dig. Probably a bad example. Let's see if I can choose a different one. So it's telling me I am 1.48 meters off my line, and it's instantly telling me I'm 150 mil cut, so I need to go lower 150mm. If I turn the machine round, you'll see that 148 reduce. I've went over it. I would need to track a little bit and get this lined up, and then obviously my dig, as my bucket goes down, the level is going to reduce. The reason I have it on 2 decimal places, a lot of the time when I'm dealing with people on site, if you go into these settings and go to your number of decimals, it can become quite an eyesore. So as that bucket starts to rise and fall, if you're familiar with the GNSS, that 3rd decimal place is just constantly flickering. It's the height is jumping all over the place, and too often people spend a lot of time trying to get it to absolute 0, when realistically that 5, 6, 7mm just isn't going to be achieved with the technology. So by putting it into 2 decimal places, I find that progress is much faster, and it's much easier on the eye at all times. Another important part of this screen is this arrow down the bottom. If MC1 had any errors, this would go red, and when you click on it, it's generally going to tell you at the top what the error is, i.e. check bucket sensor or check antenna 1, check radio settings. So it's very good for fault finding. And it also has some valuable information. So the tool position, we have our easting, northern and elevation. So whatever benchmark or verification we have on site, this is where we would check it again. So usually a concrete slab, maybe 1.5 meter concrete slab with a couple of nails on it, something that an operator can approach from all different angles. They know the coordinates of these points, then every day they can put their blade or bucket on the nails, check the coordinates that were given to them with their live position here. As long as it's good, they're safe to go to work. And it really is very much a line and level exercise. Now, once I'd excavated that line, I would just hold my finger down on the next line that I wanted to work, click on the top one, it's going to highlight, and go and line myself up and dig it out. It sounds easy, it does get pretty easy. This up the top where it says 0.03 left, a lot of the time by default that's missing. So it's good to know in this offset button, when you expand it and go to side, click on here. I quite like the auto snap function. So automatically snap to the closest line that you select. So as the closest line to you, so as you track about, the closest line to your bucket will automatically reference left or right. It's a really nice feature of this software. So to explore these icons along the bottom a little bit more, this one in the bottom right is how you measure a position. So when I press that, it says 0.1 logged. It's taken the centre of my bucket and recorded an easting, northern and elevation, wherever it was, whether it was in the air or on the ground. So in this scenario where I'm digging foundations, if I am digging and hit soft ground, it was maybe unexpected, when I get to my lowest point, I can press this survey button and it will automatically record that position, and if I'm connected to Connex, automatically send that position back to the office. So really, on all 4 corners of the found, I would encourage my operator, when you get to your dig level, hit this measure button, and then you've instantly measured the actual depth of the foundation. Do that on every machine, do that on every foundation. That information can be it's sent automatically every few seconds back to the office, and true volume calcs can be done very easily. Same with if you were to hit rock and you were going to spend some time, you can record the level you are at with the rock, date and time stamps it, and then that information is sent back to the office as well. Oh, we unexpectedly hit this rock. This is the level it was at, this is how much extra time it took for us to get by that spot, and so on, and so on, and so on. You can also create your own codes when you're surveying. To do that, everything's in this as-built option in here. So when you go to as-built, if I put show points, they appear as these sort of purple blocks. Listen, my simulator is going to fail me here, I think, for me to show you. Put it into 3D. Oh yeah, it's my levels are all over, but this purple block is generally what your survey points look like. Single point logging, I don't have any codes in here. If I go into here, point code, I would just hit the add button, give it a number generally, and the log name. And that's me basically created my own code list for measuring points. When that is exported back to the office, it just goes onto a CSV with your east and northern height, your code, date stamp, your 3D accuracy, so this CQ3D, everything, all the good stuff that you want to see is logged on the CSV. It's really nice. It's really powerful with dozers. You can set it to auto survey, so if you've got a bulldozer stripping a field, you can tell it to automatically measure every, let's say, 20 seconds or 30 meters, and every 30 meters it will record an easting, northing and elevation of the centre or outsides of your blade, and automatically send that level back to the office. So at the end of a shift, if you've got the original ground survey, you can just do a couple of button presses and very quickly calculate how much muck was shifted that day, that week, that month, that year. It's super, super powerful to be able to survey with your excavator or your dozer. If you were going to change bucket, so say I was going to do this internal wall, I'm no longer using the 600 bucket, I could click onto there and choose a smaller bucket, change it to my ditching bucket. It's vital that you're using the right bucket for the job. A lot of error comes from when people forget to change the bucket. The offsets button that you will have seen me go into, height offsets and side offsets. So this line that I have selected, I can create an offset to either side of it. And I can create height offsets at any moment in time. So if it's telling me to cut 150 and I get down to my dig level, everything goes green. If I then knew I was going to put 150 of stone on, I can go into my offset, add 150 of stone. So you see I'm very quickly creating my own levels. I can now come up to 100. I can set my bucket anywhere on site, go into here and press the equals button, and it will give me a 0 level. So if someone said that temporary benchmark, we need to go a metre below that, I would simply go and set my bucket on it, hit the equals button, it will 0 both my my cut fill guides, and then I would just keep on digging until these said a metre. Really nice. Same with the line offset. If I wanted to line myself up and give me a nice straight 0 line, I would go into my side offset, hit equals, and now I know if I track left or right of that line, it's going to show me how far off the line I am. Real powerful tool in here, especially if you're doing layers. You can just keep adding your own offsets to it. You can click on this here and type in whatever offset you want. So it's very friendly. You'll see I've just added in a big fill there. This option here, if you have multiple models, it's asking what one you want your heights to reference to. So now I'm doing regrade work, it's telling me I need to cut 165. When I'm doing, if I go back to my plots, now all my heights are referenced to my plots. So you can have all your models in at one time, but you can only reference height from one at a time. And then of course we have our main menu in here. There's lots of other nice stuff to explore on this system. Calibrations are quite nice to explore to see how easy it is, as well as some other settings that we have. I'll revisit it with some better data soon, but I would this little guy here in the top left, if you're tracking about your site, or you're scrolling, a lot of the time you can be scrolling along your data and you get lost, you can hit the zoom extents and it's just going to center you back to where you are. But yeah, hopefully someone somewhere watches this and finds it helpful. It's certainly a very intuitive platform to use. The foundations is something I do a lot. I'll maybe get some road models uploaded and do some videos for that as well.